Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to Laratips. First of all, I'd like to thank you all of you because we have now crossed 50 subscribers. That's all because of your support and love. So thank you very much. I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very much. So please keep supporting and I'll be making some more interesting videos in the future. So today's videos will be Vue.js plus Laravel. So this is not going to be some kind of basic, but it will be some kind of intermediate kind of video. Okay, so those who are here for the basic video, then please don't worry, I'll be uploading another video tomorrow. As you know that I have created this Todo application using Vue 3 composition API before. We'll be continuing on this one. Since this is a static Todo application, now we'll be making it dynamic. We'll be making APIs. We'll be getting all those to-dos from the API and we'll be making that API using Laravel. Okay, so I'm currently running this to-do application here that we built before, and this is open here. Okay, just to recap that if we add something like this, then this will appear here, and if we can delete and we can mark them as done and undo it. Okay, so we will be doing all this using APIs. So first of all, what we need to do is we need to create a Laravel application. So I'll create a new Laravel to-do application, Laravel new to-do, and hit enter. So now it is installed. So let me cd into it and open it into VS Code. So it's open here, and let me run the project. Okay, PHP artisan serve, and if I open it in the browser, then you can see here that it's a basic Laravel application. Now if we look here and look inside the app models, there is a user model by default. Laravel gives us user model, and inside database migrations we can see here users table as well, and there is password research table and a create fields of let's not worry about this. Okay, so let's go into the .env file, and it has created all these. Now we have to add a database for that. Okay, let's say a database as to-do. I have already created a database named to-do, and it's here the to-do, and let me delete all these tables for now. And just write the username and the password. Okay, now what we can do is we can run the migration. I'll be telling you all about the migrations, models and controllers, everything in the basic video tutorial. So this is not a basic tutorial, so it is an intermediate kind of thing. So I will be assuming that you know about models, migrations, all those things. Okay, so if I run php artisan rate migrate, then it will run all those three migrations that I have shown here, these three migrations. Okay, and it will, let me refresh here, and as you can see here, it created these tables from after running those migrations. Okay, now let us create a to-do model. To-do model, and let us create by controller and migration. Okay, the C flag will create the controller and M flag will create a migration as well. So you can see here a migration is created. So for a to-do we need, if we look at our tutorial, previous Vue.js tutorial, then we have text created at dawn. Okay, so by default the timestamp will include the created at field, created at and updated at. Now we only need fields like text and dawn. So table, it will create a varchar with the text name and boolean done. So it will create a tiny integer. Okay, so let us give it a default value as false. So when this value is being saved in the database, it will be saved as 0. So the migration is created. Now let us run the migration. PHP artisan migrate, and the to do migration will run. Now this, let's see what does it create. And if we go refresh here, then you can see here the to do's. Okay, and it has this id text done created and updated. As you can see here, I told that it will be create tiny integer when we specify a boolean. Okay, and by default the value is 0, which is false, and text is a varchar 255 characters long by default, and this id is a unsigned big tiny integers, and it is incrementing. Okay, now if we go to the, now we have also created models. So you can see here under the models the to do is created, and also inside the HTTP controllers to do controller is also created. Okay, so here to do is like this model and controller is like this. Now when we go to the routes API, so since we will be creating API, so there is a dedicated file where we can create APIs, which is api.php. By the name it's clear. So let me remove all these things which we do not need now, and let me remove these also. Okay, now here let us create a route to get the to-dos. Route get route, okay, which will be to-dos, and this will be to do controller. This class is imported here, and it will look into index method inside the to do controller. And if we go here and let us create the public function index, so I have a snippet for that like this. Okay, I'll use that, and what we can do is we can return to do all. So this will return all the to do's. Okay, so this is the, okay, we have created a to do's API. Now how can we access it? If we go on the browser, and this is the our default Laravel, so we can do is, so whatever routes we define here will be prefixed by API. Okay, inside this one, so what we can do is API/TODOS to do's, and it will return the empty. Okay, since there are no to do's in our database, so it is returning empty. So let us add something from the database itself. Let's say let's say 0, and let us say the current value in the created at as well as in the updated at, and I save this. And if I go to the browser and refresh, then you can see here we are getting that value, okay, as an array of objects. So what we can do is we are returning all this to do from here, which we are getting from this API. Okay, now we have created this. Now let us go to our client side inside the vuejs. Okay, to do. Now in order to access the data from the API, we need to install one library called Axios. So let us install that. Add Axios. So using Axios we can call the get request, post, put, delete, all those kind of HTTP verbs. Okay, so let me install it. So the Axios is installed. So let me stop the server for now. And okay, Axios is installed. Now what we can do is import from Axios from Axios. Okay, since it is installed. So if we look into package.json, so it is being installed here. Okay, so we can import it from here, and let us create a function which will fetch the to-dos from the API. Let's say get to-dos. Okay, but now Axios has a lot of methods like that we created here. If you go to the api.php, we created here a get route. Okay, so Axios also has a get method which we can use here. So if we copy this URL and just paste it here, okay, so it will return a promise, JavaScript promise, and we can get the values from a promise by using then method. Okay, so there will be a response, and let us console.log response. Okay, we have to call this to do. So we are inside the setup method. Okay, if you anyone confused, then we are inside the setup method, and we have created this get to do function here, and we are calling it here, so it will be executed. So now if I go to our to do application and open the console, also we stop the server, let me run it again. So this risk is showing that some of the classes are being deprecated in the Tailwind CSS. Okay, that's not an issue. So if we go here and refresh the page, then you can see here the data is being logged. And if you go on the network tab, so let me increase here, and let me also make this larger. So in the network tab, we have here to do request is sent in this our API, and here is some data, and this data is being logged over here. So we are getting a lot of things like config, data, headers. So what we need is we need data from this response. So currently what we are doing is we are making to do text. Okay, and we are using reactive and ref, all those things, but let us use only one thing just to make consistent. Okay, so I'll remove this ref to do text, and I'll only be using the reactive. Okay, so for that, let us say state. So these are state, so let me call it as state. Okay, so here we will be making it as an object. To do's will be like this, and to do text will be like this. The to do text is whatever we enter here. Okay, so currently it is showing error because what is the problem? So state is assigned the value but never used. Okay, no problem. So now let us remove this, and let us change it to state.todo. We have to refactor in every places like this, state.todos, 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 and we will be returning state from here. Will be okay. Now we have used this in our top here. Okay, so since this is not being used, let us remove this as well. And here we have used here to do's, and let us call it as state.todo to do's, and here also we have called it state.todos. Now if I go here and refresh the page, so it should work previously. It should. So it is saying me dot value cannot create property dot value. Okay, value. Okay, since this is not a ref, so we don't need dot value. Since this is a reactive, inside the reactive we don't need dot value. So here if I refresh the page and add some data, so now it's working like previously. Okay, so yeah, so everything's good now. So when I refresh the page, the request is there, it's being fetched, data is there, but it is not visible here. So what we need to do is we need to assign this data to the our to-dos, state dot to-dos. Okay, so for that what we need to do is, let's say state dot to-dos is equal to response dot data. So if we do it like this, and if we come here and refresh the page, and we have some error. So cannot read property to string of undefined. Oh, sorry. So it is, this is the issue, because what we have here is, in the response we have this created underscore add. Okay, and we are using here as created add, and this toString method is only available in the date object, and currently what string is being returned by our database, so that issue. So now you can see here first to do is shown here. Just to make sure that this data is coming from the database, let me change this. Okay, post data to, save it and refresh here, and you can see here the first data 2, and zoom it for you. I hope you can see it clearly like this. So it is the first to do, and this is the first to do 2. Okay, so now we are able to list the data that is being fetched from the API, which is built using Laravel. Now what we need to do is, whenever we enter something, let's say second data, then when we enter this data should be appeared here. Okay, so it is not working since we changed the ref to the reactive. So let's refactor that as well. So here to do text dot to do text. Okay, so if I refresh the page and let's say to do, now that second to do is appearing here. Okay, so if we look into the database and refresh here, the data is not being saved, so whenever we refresh the page it will be lost. So now let's create an API to save a to do. So if we go up to our Laravel project, into the api.php, let us create route post store to do. Okay, we can also make the resourceful routes, but to make it simple, I'm just giving it some useful names, so that whenever we look at it, so it will be easy for us to know what this does. Okay, so we will be in the same, so in the to do controller class and store method. So let us create a store method. We only have the index method now let us create a store method. Okay, how to get the data from the API, whatever we have entered here. So whatever we have entered here, how this data will be available here. All this data will be available. Those data can be accessed from this request object. Okay, so since let us not store it now let us first do it in the client side. Okay, what is the API? So API is this store to do, and if we go on the client side and let us create a function to do that. Okay, so for now what we have here is add a to do. Okay, so what we need to do is now axios dot post, and our API is this, and we have this URL over here. So this is our API store to do, and it will return a promise. So we need to pass data to it, so we can pass the data using the second parameter like this. Okay, so what we can do is now text as state dot to do text. Okay, so this data will be passed as a request parameter. Now let us remove this, and after this we can do then. What happens after we store the data? We need to clear the input, so let us just add it here. Okay, whenever after the data is being saved, this will clear the text that we have entered. So this will be done. So let's see what happens. So let me go to our to-do controller, and there is a log file in the Laravel. By default, if you go to the storage logs, so currently it is not created. So if there is any, let's log it, log, so eliminate support facade log. So this file is imported here, and we can do is info. Okay, so let us give it a name, request, and request all. So this all will give all the parameters that are being passed from here. So currently we have passed only text, so that should appear there. Okay, now if I refresh the page here and open the network tab, and whenever I say second to do and hit enter, look at here, the Axios request is being sent to the store to do. Okay, but there is nothing response because we haven't returned anything from here. Now you can see here the log file is created, laravel.log, and if we see here, we can see this text as a second to do. Okay, now how to save the data from here? Now to save our data, we need to create a, let's say, to do is equals to new to do. This is a model. Now we can access all these database fields like text id, text done, created at, and updated at using this model. Okay, so whenever we save a to do, the id, since this is an auto incrementing id, it will be automatically incremented. We don't need to pass it here, and for the done, it has a default value as false, so we also don't need to pass it. And created at and updated at is automatically inserted by the Laravel. We don't need to pass these as well, so we have to only pass the text. To do text is equal to, from request get, there is a get method in the request object, and whatever we pass here, so we have passed the text from here, let's copy it and paste it inside here. So now that value will be assigned to this request to do text object. Now to save a to do, there is a very simple method in the Laravel. Guess what? To do save. This is the same method. Now we have to return response. Okay, return response. What we want to return a response as JSON. Okay, since we in API we will be always be working with JSON. So let us give a message, and message will not be showing this message in this tutorial. Okay, I'll be showing you in the response that this will be coming from there. Okay, so if I go here and let me create another, okay, second to do, and if I hit enter, look at here, another request is being sent, and if you look here, you can see here to do is successfully created. And if I go here in the database and if I refresh here, now you can see the second to do is being created. Okay, and this timestamp is the current timestamp. Okay, we have created a to do, but it is not being displayed here. Okay, so for that, what we need to do is in our API, after this add to do method is being added, then we need to call this get to do's. Okay, so let's see, these functions will automatically hoisted on the top. Hoisting, if you don't know what hoisting is, then it is basically JavaScript concept. So whatever functions we defined, it will be automatically moved to the top of the scope. Okay, so currently all these are inside the setup scope, so all these will be available on the top. So let us call this get to do. Even if we have defined it at the bottom, it should be available here. And get to do's, if I do it like this and go here, the second to do is here. Now let me create a third to do and hit enter. Now you can see here the third to do is being inserted here. Okay, and you can see here first it is storing a to do and again calling a to do API, and it is returning the 3 to do's. But the problem here is the to do that we had created in the last is showing at the bottom. It should be showing at the top. So let's fix that. If we go in the index section, what we can do is there is a latest method in the Laravel and we have a get. Okay, so the latest will order these by the descending order by using created at. Now if I refresh the page here, then it should show the first to do is showing here in the beginning, because this we created manually, so the timestamp is greater here, so that's why it is showing on the top. Okay, you can see here. So if we change this to 18, then we can see here it will be created first, second and third. Okay, copy this and paste it here, and if we refresh the page here, the third, second and first. Okay, because this field was created manually by us using from this UI, so the timestamp wasn't correct, and these two were created when we added a data from here. Okay, so these were correct timestamp, this wasn't correct, so I just replaced it with the timestamp older than these two. Okay, so now we can list the to-dos, we can store a to-do. Now let us delete a to-do. So for that, let us create an API. Let us create a route and delete to-do. Okay, to-do controller and delete. Now let us go to the to-do and make function delete. Okay, so now there also let us add this request, since we will be accepting some IDs from there. Okay, so this is the delete and this is the API. Now if I go here and let us create another, so I think we have already there delete, yeah, remove to do. So if it is not confirmed, then let's delete. So now here we need to call the API. We have defined the post API, which is this, and API is here. Okay, we'll be refactoring this because everywhere we don't want to type this, copy and paste this. Yeah, so we'll be refactoring this in the end of the video. So delete to do, and after calling, whenever a post is deleted, what we want to do then, so the to do will be deleted on the server side. So let us just call this get to do's. Okay, and remove this. So what we are doing is just posting it to the this API delete to do, and then whenever it is deleted we are fetching the to do's again. So we have to pass data here. Okay, what we have to pass is the ID of the to do. Okay, so currently we are only getting the index here. So if we go to this remove to do here top, we are passing index. Now let us pass the to do object. Okay, now if we go at the bottom, we can accept this to do here, and we can pass id as to do dot id. Okay, and so we have passed now to do. Similarly, that we passed here the data, the text, the id will also be available inside the to do controller, inside the delete method, and the id we can be request get id. Okay, we can accept it like this. So how to delete? So what we can do is, using the model, we can delete using a model. To do find, there is a find method in find method. So let us remove this, we don't need this. So we'll find using an id. So to do find will take one parameter which will be the id, and so we have passed the id. Okay, so now to do is this object. Now to delete this from the database, we just need to call what? Guess what? Delete. So this is also nice that we can easily say without knowing the methods. So that's why the Laravel is so popular. Okay, whenever a data is deleted, let us return the response to do successfully deleted. Okay, so let us go to the browser and refresh the page. Let me show you the console over here, and let me clear it, and let me delete the second to do. If I hit cancel, then nothing will appear, and if I click on this and click on OK, now you can see here the second to do is gone, because the delete to do was called and it deleted the to do in the headers. We can see here the data passed id was 2, and after being deleted the to do's API was called, get to do's API was called, and here we can see it's passed, it has given us the data present in the database. And if we look here and refresh here, the second one is gone. So this is how you do a delete request. Okay, now we have done the delete as well. Now we need to do is, whenever we click on this check mark, so it is currently happening, but if we look in here the database, but it is not updated. Okay, whenever let me refresh here, so it is not updated, and if I refresh the page, then the data will be gone. Okay, so for that also we need to make another API. If I go to api.php and let me duplicate this, and let me make it as complete to do. Okay, complete. So this will also be a post request, and there is a complete method here in the to do controller. Let me duplicate this and let me call it as complete, and similarly we'll be passing an id here, and what we need to do is to do what we have here in the database. The name is Don is equals to true, like this, and what we need to do is update, to do update. Okay, so we have find a to do using the id, we have changed it to Don as a true, and updated the to do in the database. To do successfully updated. Now let us create here mark as done. Okay, it is telling us mark as done. Okay, So now let me copy this and paste it here. So instead of passing the index here also, let us pass the to do here, mark as done. Okay, to do, and mark as undone also, let us pass the to do here. So I pasted it here, let me not paste it here because we are doing is mark as done, so it will be to do. Okay, so we'll be marking a to do as done, mark as done. So let us name it as mark as done. And let me change the API as well. What we can do is, let's say to do slash mark as done. Yeah, so we can here say slash mark as done. So we have passed the to do ID here, and inside here this is mark as done method, and like this. Okay, so we have passed ID from here and accepted the ID and found the to do and make this done and updated it. So let's see it in action here. Let me refresh. Now let's see, when I click on the done, now you can see here what is happening. Mark as done, this request is being called and to do successfully updated, and after it is being updated we have called a to do's list, and here we can see here in the here done it is 1, which means true. So this is converted into green. Now when I refresh the page, it should persist. So you can see here it is persisting. So also if you see in the database, so you can see here it is being 1 and this updated add is changed. Before this and this value was same, and now this is updated. Whenever we update something in the model, then this updated add column will be changed to the current date. Whenever the data is being updated, so it will be changed to that date. Now when I do mark as undone, so it is not working. So now let's fix that. For that also we need to create another API, mark as undone, mark as undone. So it's pretty straightforward. Now mark as undone, and this will be false, successfully updated. Okay, it will be to do, let's say successfully marked as undone. Let us update this message as well, marked as done. Okay, now let us go here in the mark as undone, and here we passed the to do before from the above. Now here we'll change mark as undone. Okay, now let me refresh the page and clear it and mark it as undone. So you can see here it is calling the mark as undone, so it seems successfully marked as undone, and it is calling the to do. And if we go ahead and look in the database, here you see here and here, okay, these two will be changed, this and this. So you can see here it is changed to the 1040 and this is changed to 0. So now we have done this. Let's refactor the code on the client side. So here the thing that is being repeated is this API. Okay, so I'll show you one advanced way of defining this. Okay, so if we go to this root file and let us create a file here named .env.local. So this file is already here. Okay, now what we can do is here we can define some constants here. Okay, which will be like, which should start from view underscore app underscore. Okay, this is the convention by view CLI. So now the thing that is being repeated here is this. So let us copy this and let us paste it here. So this is view underscore app underscore API URL. Okay, let's say base API URL. Now we can access this if we define it like this by prefixing it with this view app, then we can access it here. Okay, like this, process.env dot like this. This will be available in the environment variable. So now we can copy it and I'll update it all at once here, and this, so this all these three are updated at once. Okay, so if I refresh the page here and open the console, now we are seeing the error over here. Okay, let me refresh the page again. If I go to the network tab, you can see here in the headers this localhost undefined. Okay, it is showing us undefined. This is because we created this after creating this env local file and adding the changes. We need to restart the server. So let me restart the server. And now let me refresh. So what is happening here is the API is being called twice. So let me fix that so we are not getting other error. So remove this in all these three, save it. Now we can see this. Okay, let me check all the features. Let's say second to do, third to do. So we can mark it as done, undo it. Yeah, we can delete. So as you can see, everything is working and the URL is also not duplicated. So in this to-do tutorial, in the previous tutorial as well, there was no update feature, so I'll not be making this here as well. So it will be but it is very simple process. Just add one icon here. So I'll give you a task. So if you, let's see if you could do this or not. Okay, just add an edit button here and show a form at the bottom of the page here with this title, and just update it and hit enter, and this hide the update form below and it should update the data here. Okay, I'll give you a task. I'll be updating the repository previously that I had created, and I'll be giving the link at the bottom in the description. So this code will be available to you and you can edit the code and add the edit and update feature. Okay, so that's it for this video, guys. I hope you all like this video. So in the future videos, I'll also be making some interesting projects like a blog and an e-commerce site. I'll be creating those, so please stay tuned for that. So thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.